That's why I didn't schedule in Zoom. I mean, I didn't schedule in YouTube. I just scheduled in Zoom and went live straight through Zoom.
Yeah, I'm trying to
couldn't be bothered with
I'm
this.
trying to see if they fixed that issue. Wait a minute. It has us live now? Oh no. Are we live?
You hit live.
I didn't hit it. I hit it on there. I didn't hit it in the control room. It didn't ask for the stream key and all of that. It opened up another window and it looks like we're live. Hello, Lawrence and Herman. Okay, I guess so we're live. All right. They did some new stuff here, Herman. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sunday Nights with Those Guys. Sorry to sound confused. What's up, Time to Fly? Can you? But Herman and I started the live stream. Herman, it didn't ask what he did. The stream key, none of that stuff. But we are live because I'm talking to someone. They didn't fix. I had to come.
Open a different window. That's
it did.
Open a different window. That's what it is.
It did. Yes, it did. All right, but I don't know how I'm going to be able to start. Everyone, F5, 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 because it says connecting the software to go live. Viewers will be able to find your stream once you go live, but
yeah, it did some other nonsense.
It did some other nonsense. You're 100% right.
That's
but anyway,
on you before.
I'm going to have right. When I was sick before, you were saying I had to go back and end. I think you have a few in the other page. I just went to the other page and told them to refresh. Thanks, Time to Fly.
Okay.
But anyway, Sunday Nights with Those Guys is sponsored by Those Guys.
Those guys.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get it. The Flyby Guys, how are you? Welcome to Sunday Nights with Those Guys. Tom is coming in now.
You know, I wanted to put the chat on this side. I should have did that. That's what I really want to do.
Hey, what's up, Tom? How are you, sir?
Good, Lawrence. How you feeling?
1,000 times better, man.
How's it going?
My lungs are still raw, but I'm getting stronger. My appetite has increased tenfold, and my taste is at about 75%.
Good.
Sweet things, I can't taste sweet things, but I can taste tart, salt, peppery, garlic, stuff like, you know, the normal stuff that you eat. So I'm happy with that. Time to Fly says, what's up, Tom? You're watching from Dubai, the Fly Guys. Okay. What kind of job you got, man? We need to get put on. But no, we appreciate it. We've never had anyone watching us from Dubai. I thought you were in another part of the world, the Flyby Guys. But it's good to see you all.
Glad that you're on.
Yes, we're
happy New Year to all.
Yes.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. That's right. We didn't see everyone since before the New Year.
No, we had the show right before the Wednesday show.
Yeah, it was still. Yes, Flyby Guys. Yes, I unfortunately caught COVID, and it was a rough battle. And thanks to all higher powers, whomever you may believe in or whomever you may not, I'm getting better. The wife is good. The daughter's good. We are all negative now. In fact, you could probably take some antibodies from me and go help cure somebody else as well. But yes, I am feeling better, and I'm glad to be back. I appreciate it very much. Seriously. Happy New Year's to MT. I can't see that for some reason. MTC Cookie. MT. Happy New Year, MT. Happy New Year. Time to Fly. The Flyby Guys, Happy New Year to everyone. We're just waiting for a few people to get in. How was your weekend, Herman? Well, I know you said the Giants was good earlier, but I couldn't relinquish the TV.
What happened, you said? Well, I mean, it's been pretty good. I mean, you know, we had one of our kids, we got signed to Arizona State. So he signed, you know, in the top 10 kids in the country.
Okay, all right.
That's fantastic.
Arizona yesterday on NBC, if anybody was watching.
You should have a list on the wall with all the teams. on your wall somewhere with all your teams that you guys your players get sent to, because
Well,
hey Bill, what's up? How are you?
well, if you come down to the field, there's a banner for every kid that's gone to one of the top programs in the country. And
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would be boasting that. I'd have a list up with all the guys. Hey Bill, I'm feeling good. Corey, what's up, dude? I'm so sorry. I forgot to call you back last night. I mean today. I said I was gonna call you today. UFO was the first one in the other chat. I'd like to apologize because I don't know why, but
Hey,
YouTube and Zoom are doing something funky.
oh yeah,
YouTube,
I don't know.
Zoom actually added another feature where, hey, Happy New Year's, guys, Dave Ennis, where they want you to only broadcast on Zoom, but they give you the option to broadcast through YouTube, which is the way we were doing it. Of course, that way doesn't work. So until Zoom and YouTube get their thing together. Tom, what's good, man? How are you? How's your week been? How's your New Year's
Surviving.
party?
You know what?
I don't think I stayed up to see the ball drop. I'll put it to you that way. Good
did.
riddance, 2020.
Jay Santiago, thank you for the Soup 2021 Super Chat, man. Thank you very much. And we're glad to be back for the new year. We're definitely glad to be back for the new year. But Tom, I actually usually bring in the New Year sleep, but this year I felt it was important to be awake because last year was such a crapper for me physically and my family and everything that I was like, yo, I went down the block. I brought a bottle of champagne. My wife and daughter don't drink. She's 16. My wife had a shot glass.
Hey, Curtis.
My daughter had less than a shot glass, which meant I sat there with a bottle of champagne to bring in the new year. And it wasn't so much to bring in the new year, but hey, Curtis Dart, how are you? Happy New Year. But it was more so to say goodbye.
Yeah, get rid of it. See ya. Yeah. Adios. Don't let the door.
Apologize for not shaving. You guys know I did have a beard, but when I got out of the hospital.
Me too, guys. I'm sorry.
I know one thing COVID does, Tom. COVID makes your hair grow like a baby's behind. When I came home from the hospital,
not in the right places, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, it's just getting sparser and sparser. Okay, I'm gonna shave my head.
Big Matt, you got an invite, man.
Those
come on in,
guys.
Curtis Start.
Okay.
Happy New Year to all you guys. This is the first live stream.
Happy New Year,
I didn't title it anything special. We're ending at 6:30 tonight. Jackson RC, how are you? I think that might be the regular norm, at least for a little while, because I'm trying to set up some stuff so that Herman and I could have some sound effects.
Honestly, we don't want to bore the shit out of you till 7.
That too.
We figured we'll try to hold your attention till 6:30.
That too. Jay Santiago, that was very nice of you with the 2021 Super Chat. I seriously appreciate that. And that was very witty because I was like, why 2020?
Nice way to welcome in the new year.
Yeah. So happy New Year to everyone. Big Matt, he says you got COVID hair. Yeah, we do. We do. And
dude. I had a hairline that was right above my eyebrows and it just moved north. But occasionally a hair, you'll still find one or two. And I'm always like talking to myself in the mirror, like, guys, you didn't get the memo. Everybody moved north. You know
what? I'm a true believer. If you keep brushing it, it's still there.
It's just all those scratch marks, man.
Just keep brushing it
from the brush, okay?
You see Herman,
you just got to keep getting a softer and softer brush. Yeah.
Hey, Swift Fox, how are you? And welcome. Happy New Year's to you, brother. Tim Jackson, thank you for the nice message on Messenger.
Hey, Tim.
Happy
New Year, Tim.
I appreciate the support and a Happy New Year to each and every one
of you. What's up, UFO?
Seriously.
Jackson RC Aviation, how's everything, man? Good to see you on.
Hey, guys, I had an older man tell me this, and I don't know if you've heard this, but he said, if you're bald in the front, you're a thinker. If you're bald in the back, you're a good lover. If you're bald in the front and back, you think you're a good lover.
Yeah, I think the only part of that's true is the latter, right? So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
But I
and
feel
we're all
good,
swinging
guys.
pretty heavy.
I feel good. I'm glad to be back. Hit that like button. I can actually hold my breath for about 3 to 4 seconds now. So, and I was telling Herman I was yakking like a camel earlier. So it's coming out of me. It's coming out. My left lung doesn't feel like I have a mass here anymore. I can actually take a deep breath and fill my lungs, which I haven't been able to do for a couple of weeks now. But anyway, we have a little bit of drone news, nothing spectacular. We wanted to welcome all the guys in. It's only 10 minutes into the live stream. Hey, Roger, how are you?
What's up, Roger? How was everything? Happy New Year, Roger.
What's going on?
I used to delusion like that with my boy Corey, YACL. Yeah, he's from here in New York as well. Sean, Geeks Vana, how are you, sir? We will hook up definitely as soon as you have some free time. Like I said, I wanted to start out the new year with the live stream on a positive note. And Geeks Vana hopefully will have some time in the very near future we discuss to help us out. We want to get some sound effects in and add some, add some variety in life to
Is Libby available?
Huh?
Is Libby available, Sean? Okay.
Hey, Desmond Donders, how are you? Happy New Year to you, man.
You got jokes.
So
Libby available.
I'm sitting here sipping on some lemonade.
Lemonade.
For the citrus.
Cool, refreshing drink.
For my throat. And we can get into a little bit of drone news, which is kind of old and new.
What's up, Dan? Hey, Paul, how are you? Happy New Year, Paul.
Hey, Paul.
Hey.
What's up? How are you, sir? Happy New Year to you, Paul, and everyone. But the first little bit of drone news I sent you guys from about the top stories of 2020 and what's possibly next for 2021. And we basically went through everything they have in this list. And I was surprised to see that we did it on those guys. So I want to applaud you guys for being so thorough as far as giving and supplying drone news. But everyone knows this, but I'm going to give this little statistic right here. Right now on the market, everyone knows this, of course, but DJI controls 65 to 80, at one time, 65 to 80% of the drone market. And we all know this, but this was the number one story of 2020 in the drone community, which I'm not surprised. Because every time someone came out with a drone, right, if every time someone came out with a drone or a drone story, they knocked them in the head with something new. You know,
DJI continues
drone worship. What's good, man? Happy New Year.
Drone worship.
Eddie Nunez.
Eddie Nunez. What's good, man?
Eddie, some good content you're posting. Guys, go follow Eddie Nunez up.
Yeah, I was watching some of his videos. I just haven't been able to leave comments on a lot of videos. I'm going to get back to him, Eddie.
Yeah, you know what's funny? He said it in the last video. He was like, what? Another video, another vlog? Right after this one, I'm like, did he? I know he didn't quit his damn day job. He was just joking about it facetiously. But Eddie, the vlogs are coming out good. Happy New Year.
Yeah, give it time.
What's up, man?
If you had or knew anyone last year or present time that was suffering through COVID, keep your prayers going out to them. Me and my family
just had a friend pass.
We appreciated support.
We just had a friend pass from it, unfortunately.
Wow.
So
I'm sorry, man, because
the day before, on Christmas Eve.
Wow. And I came home on Christmas Eve from the hospital and had to quarantine. I think today is day number 9 or 10 that I've been home at the hospital. But we have to give all our strength and energy to people that are here going through it, because it's such a and I don't want to make it the talk of the live stream, but it's so freaking crazy because I infected.
That's what 2020 was.
Yeah, it was. It was ludicrous, as Tyson would say. It was ludicrous. But my family, I infected my family, and my wife got sick.
Mm-hmm.
I got sick. When I say sick, sick, sick. And my daughter, the most she got out of it as a 16-year-old, because they're living biological petri dishes, she got a headache and a slight stuffy nose. And that was the worst she got. And that was like for a day or two. So if you know someone out there, Steve Carpenter, if you know someone out there, give them support, pray for them. You believe in a higher power, they could use that energy.
True.
Absolutely.
You're right.
You know,
You're right.
Please remember to smash that like button. Okay,
We
now
appreciate it.
getting back into this top news, the number 2 news of 2020 was the Blue UAS list, where they discussed the Department of Justice wanted DJI here and other drone companies and didn't. Well, to make a long story short, that's old news as well.
Well, it's a two-prong attack. Two-prong attack, okay?
Yes.
So you got, hey, we want you to buy American, so we're gonna list these blue drones, and at the same time, we're gonna drop DJI on the entity list. So, you got a bunch of government agencies there, throwing a net out. But here's the problem I have with that. My problem fundamentally is you didn't invest in the infrastructure and the talent necessary here to maintain and culture that innovation. You let it go offshore. You didn't worry about, protecting this country first. And now we're just going to throw up a wall. Well, those blue drones are not truly blue. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like any automotive product you have today isn't truly blue. In fact, they give you a breakdown of where the components are made. And if you go check your car, you'd be surprised at where the majority of components on your vehicle are made.
There is nothing in your house that is totally American made, totally this country made. It's impossible. It's impossible. I mean, if like you said, Tom, if you strip down, if I take this Logitech cam or these LED lights, there is something from some other country, some freaking where in it, a component. That's just how the world is now. Everyone's outsourcing. What, Herman?
Not my Kenmore washer.
I'm sure you'd be surprised at where the circuit board comes from.
Okay. Or the screws that hold the bootleg screws that hold the circuit board.
Well, look, you have to you got to take a lot of steps before you turn around and put up that kind of barrier. First off, you're leaving a huge void. You're leaving a void where there isn't really, if you start to look at those blue drones and the cost of those blue drones compared to suitable product on the DJI side, you're going to pay more, much more for that. And that's fine if those companies are turning around and investing in, STEAM education in this country and additional support manufacturing or an ecosystem to support it.
Right.
You don't build the ecosystem around it. You're just in the same place. And
it starts with STEM, or those particular organizations.
Well, nurture the talent, but also you have to have the manufacturing capability.
Right.
You have to have the access to the natural resources. We're fortunate in this country, and we take it for granted constantly. We're more fortunate than most countries are in the fact that we have a great deal of natural resources. We got a great deal of diversity in this country. We got a huge talent pool in this country that we barely even tap.
I agree.
And that was that. Look, it was done by generations before us. Okay, World War II, the manufacturing might of this country made the difference in whether we were going to be ruled by the Axis or the Allies. Okay, pure and simple. That was the turning point to the war, the manufacturing capability of this country. So if you don't invest in that, and you go for El Cheapo route on everything, then don't ask for a complete embargo of the product you need now to survive on.
True.
And that's basically what it comes down to.
True.
Okay.
Well,
tell me about the farming equipment. Tell me about the American aviation industry. Those components are all sourced within the United States.
Yeah.
I doubt that very highly, because they couldn't be competitive, unfortunately.
It's impossible. Right. It's hard to be competitive with someone that's selling something for $2, and here in the States they're selling it for $5 because it's got to pass through 3 people.
Well, see, it's not even that. Is that there's a lot of different technology that's being developed by different companies, and people buy a lot of components to do a lot of different things. You know, there's been different issues with even like with Toshiba and different parts and components and stuff like that with government contracts that has been in the news in the last 20 years or so. So there's a lot of different things that go on. There's a lot of intricate shit that goes on behind the scenes that people don't look at. All they know is that my television works, my radio works, or if you still buy radios.
Marcel, how are you? Happy New Year, Marcel. Well, you know, look, it comes down to you need business partners to survive.
Happy
right?
New Year, Marcel.
But you have to have a certain level of trust in those business partners.
Yes.
So if the big problem is, and this is what's being touted, the big problem is their access to our data. Guys, you gave that up a long time ago, first and foremost. I mean, it's a level of ignorance that exists right now that China doesn't have enough data on us if they wanted to use it. But you have steps you can take to encapsulate that data stream and that data flow. Okay?
I agree.
So that's one avenue to pursue. But you know, unfortunately, we're villainizing a product, and we're taking a company that turned around and innovated, and we're saying, hey, you know, we're taking the U.S. game away from you. It's not going to kill them. Okay?
Yeah.
And I'm surprised at this point that they haven't onshored manufacturing facilities. That I see as short-sighted. I mean, they wouldn't be the first
you don't
Chinese
see anything
company.
in the news.
I wouldn't see they wouldn't be the first Chinese company to have an entity within the U.S.
True. It's true. Ortel Robotics, hint. You know,
so,
I can mention quite a few companies that are Asian based here in the United States.
Yeah, I'm surprised because, you know, and it look, none of us work in a Chinese company that has to comply with communist government laws. Okay. So I'm not trying to minimize that.
Right.
And I don't know that if DJI, and it seems like a simplistic approach, would stand up a cloud service solution in the United States and say, hey, all data collected on drones flown within the United States and Canada only are on North American service.
Right.
But then again, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer or an international lawyer, and I have no idea whether the Chinese government would still require access through DJI to that data. So, you know, there's no simple approach here.
And you can't just
shutting the door,
DJI.
Shutting the door solid.
Tom froze up for a second.
Very simplistic approach.
Yeah, his picture is froze on my screen, and oh, there you go. It came back.
No, he's good.
Right?
You're good. Okay. For some reason, it's acting a little funky, but I agree with you. All you guys out there complaining about remote ID and our information being taken from us and used for malicious purposes. Well, before you look at other countries, look at what's being done here. Your ATM, your credit card transmits a frequency.
Shop on Amazon.
Exactly.
Amazon, get discounts through
Walmart. Do you know there are some states here in the United States that will not allow Walmart into their state?
Got Netflix?
Yeah. Hulu.
Well, no, it's not states. It's not states. No, it's not full states. It's local jurisdictions. New York City is
more so.
Them, right?
Yeah.
Because of labor trade issues.
What were you going to say, Herman?
People had with remote ID, and this is what I've always said before. It's not the fact that, like all of these things you mentioned, Amazon and all these people that have your information, and like we know this for a fact. If you go on Facebook, we look on Amazon. It's not what people were worried so much about. It's the fact that if you are on a constant cellular connection where you have to have that Wi-Fi connection, people are worried so much about the people who are looking at malicious intent.
Yes.
It's opening another window that's even easier for them to be able to get in. That's
what Kelly.
That was an issue. That wasn't worried about the fact that, come on, I told you this before. I got the whole internet connection and everything in here, and I never connected the home phone.
Right.
I plugged the home phone in the first day I got the system set up and everything, and the phone rang. Well, who the hell is that calling? I never gave out the number. I don't even know.
Right. You never used the phone.
Who's calling?
But people
and
call.
It rings every day, and I never gave the number on to anyone, and it's not the phone company.
Yeah.
No. But that's not how it works.
I don't.
Okay,
but see, I don't worry about those things. But that's not what I'm worried about.
Basically, what happens is numbers are randomly generated for call, just like the spoof numbers. The spoof numbers come from it's nothing but a mask, and they mask for familiarity. So if you're coming out of the 212 area code, if you're coming out of the 732 area code,
right? The robocalls have. If you have an area code of 732,
hold on a second.
The robocalls come from 732.
But there is a section.
Yeah. It's software that does this. It's a very.
Yeah, but if you deal with Verizon, there's a section
easy to acquire software.
Right, but there's a section on Verizon, and they have it. There's a number that they have within their whole database that you can call to ask them to not share your information.
Oh, yeah. But that has nothing to do with it. No. You're thinking about the old days where you paid extra for the unlisted number. Remember that? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there was only one place the number was being listed, and that was in the white pages.
The phone company. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For those people that are old enough to remember the white pages. Okay. So, But here what you have is Verizon didn't give out your number. Verizon didn't give out your number. It's just the robocalling software is picking out 7 digits within that area code. Okay? Doing that hundreds of thousands of times a day. Okay?
Good to see you, Geeks Vana.
That's all that ever happens.
In this little top stories of 2020, as far as I'm going into next year, the number 3 there were only 3 top stories: the blue list, DJI, and how the COVID pandemic has accelerated the need for drone delivery. Because actually, one of the other stories later on will be going into how over in the UK they're using drone delivery for some island that they have to take a ferry across.
It's not some island. It's the Isle of Wight.
It's the Isle of Wight in the UK.
Okay. It's not some island. It's the Isle of Wight. Right.
I'm sorry, Sean. Geeks Runner. I apologize.
Yeah, come on now. Be respectful.
Lawrence, how'd you say it?
We have to have half a clue about stuff outside of New York City, Lawrence.
That's true.
You have to have half a clue.
I apologize for that. For those of you from the UK,
us arrogant, ignorant New Yorkers. Apologies.
We might as well segue into that story. but this one story goes into actually how drone delivery speeds urgent medical supplies to the Isle of Wight in the UK, and the story goes on to say how the ferry doesn't do it efficiently and as fast, which I kind of would agree with. They say some of the merchandise gets damaged.
Yeah, right.
The merchandise gets damaged, and here it is. You have a drone that's doing deliveries, and everything's making it there on time and considerably the way it was shipped out.
And how much distance do they have to travel once they get off the ferry?
From what it says, with a traditional ferry crossing the lake, takes about 30 minutes, not including loading and unpacking. The drone can zip across in 10 minutes.
Right.
So we're talking 10 minutes as opposed to a half hour plus.
Well, and then it can, remember, each drone can cycle about 10 times per day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. With deliveries. So, you know, this is being proven all over. I mean, it really comes up to air mobility, how we're going to be able to move cargo around, how we can move product around.
Yeah,
right?
more efficiently.
And yeah, this is just, well, you know, first off, the easy thing here is you can move lightweight product right now. And that lightweight product,
hey, Bob Casey, how are you?
Is especially relevant when you're talking about the definitive care or treatment sector, medicine, where you can move blood samples real quick or pathology samples to a specialty lab that maybe isn't on the aisle. So there's a lot of sense it makes, and the cost for delivery is probably minuscule compared to the traditional methods being used to move this product.
How are you, El Smeghead, and what's going on your side of the world? If you Asgard Studios, how are you? Happy New Year to you.
It cost, Sean, it cost.
Can we do a drop in a shot?
Well, there's a couple different prices listed here, but about 160 pounds for transit across the ferry.
Yeah.
I would take that. That's one
thing to be delivered with much better accuracy.
Considerable cost here.
Right. It's from point A to point B. Less hands touch it, which means there are less chances of the merchandise being damaged as well. Can we do a quick drop, New Year drop in a shot? I have to do it with lemonade, but Tim Jackson had asked if 10 minutes into the show we could do a drop in a shot, and we're already 32 minutes in, so I figured we would get it in and get it out the way. Only for those of you who had missed Wednesday's end of the year live stream, which weren't too many. A few of you guys were in here. Asgard Studios, yes, I'm glad to be up and alive.
Asgard, what's good, man?
I'm glad to be up and alive. Trust me, dude. It was a little rough going for a while, but I'd like to say Sunday nights for those guys, Sunday nights dropping a shot with those guys is sponsored by those guys. We got to get the timing back. Rob, thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate it. The super sticker. We appreciate it very much. Salute, guys. Happy New Year.
Hey, guys, can you give me a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Gotta take care of something and come right back.
Go ahead. But I thought it was an interesting story because with the Isle of Wight over in the UK, due to the fact that we're starting to see drone deliveries hit all parts of the world that we didn't think they would be, how would you say, usable? I mean, Zipline showed us in Africa, in South Africa, that it is efficient and it does work. Have you ever seen a Zipline delivery, Tom?
Actually, I gave a video. I gave a talk about it at North Shore Hospital.
Get out of here.
To Grand Rounds back in December. No, actually January of this year.
Michael Blades.
2020. January of 2020. So yeah, I'm very familiar with it. In fact, we working with some colleagues that are looking to do that for public safety, to move blood products and things like that.
Okay.
In disaster situations. So there's a lot of focus on those kinds of transports.
At some time and point, I'm going to need to run outside and get dinner from outside, but I expect them to be coming very, very, very shortly. Well, I didn't have a whole bunch of drone news because I basically just wanted to have a live stream to say Happy New Year to our supporters and everyone out in the drone community as well as not the drone community. There's that story, Tom, with the Navy that I sent. I thought,
well, that's drone. We got to keep something in mind here. So what Lawrence is referencing is the Navy had come out with their fleet build plan from now through fiscal year 2040, actually 2049.
yes,
And it showed there that they are actually building some unmanned vessels,
yes,
both
they can be
large,
manned as
medium,
well.
and under ocean drones. Now,
This
those are
is
drones, people.
this is
We can
actually
call them
it right here.
robotics. What you guys are flying are robotics. I mean,
Yes,
it's an
yes.
extension of you, right? When you're touching those controls,
Mm-hmm.
you're basically manipulating that robot up in the sky. So we're talking
Right.
about the same thing here.
This
And when I said, in like the public safety sector, we look at not just aerial, we look at terrestrial, and we look at waterborne
and
and
that's why
underwater
I wanted
feature sets.
to talk about this particular story, because when everyone hears drone, they figure it has propellers or it's a what's that, Dynamics Robotics? What Boston Dynamics?
Yeah.
Well, remember I
Robotics,
shared something with you earlier in the year about
Hey, Welsh Rob.
about a drone called Emily. In fact, Lawrence, if you type in Emily, okay, into Google and type Emily drone, you're going to come up with a product that's in use today. I mean, this is something that's currently, it's a rescue drone. Okay.
Hold
and
on.
Emily is a robotic rescue
I'm
boat.
searching. Google's trying to act funny. Here we go. Lifesaver robot. Yes. Drones and AI. Improve Emily Lifesaver robot for large-scale water rescues.
Yeah, Emily stands for Emergency Integrated Life-Saving Lanyard. So Emily basically is a device you can throw over the side and have it propel out to the victim, and the victim can grab onto Emily because she's buoyant.
Talking about it. I'm trying to
hold
pull it
on
up
to
right
her
now on video
until a definitive rescue is carried out.
Right. You mentioned
this is Emily right here.
Other advantage to Emily is, exactly. So Emily comes in a couple of different, and Emily's propulsion, by the way, that is a ducted fan type of propulsion or jet propulsion, very similar to that you'd have on personal watercraft. Okay, water skis, jet skis. I mean, so same kind of propulsion. So there's no spinning.
Right, you don't have to worry about actual moving parts.
Right, you can throw Emily off the beach out to somebody, say, caught in a rip current, and navigate her out to the victim. The victim can hold on to Emily. But Emily also is used to protect first responders also. So like in our waterways here around New York City, there's a lot of hazards under the surface.
Oh yeah.
So what you can do is you can throw Emily,
especially in New York.
You can throw Emily over into the water, and Emily, a version of Emily, has side scanning sonar. So you can actually paint a map of what's below the surface before you have to put your divers in. Okay. And, we have all kinds of areas along our shorelines. I mean, we have some major power plants that have huge intakes. We have areas of our city that are renowned for sunken ships and torrential currents like Hell's Gate in between Astoria and Randall's Island.
We did a story on that too.
Very familiar with that.
So there, don't think of drones. When we say drones right away, we only think about the stuff we buy. Drones take on a lot of different shapes and forms.
Well, the main reason,
as time continues, what you really have is you have more autonomy being built into this. Now, a submarine, an unmanned submarine like this, can stay on station for extended periods. Now, we have an unbelievable ballistic nuclear submarine force in this country. And, it's something that, what they're able to do, and they can stay under the surface. Their normal operations are upwards of 90 days. Okay.
Well, I
before
wanted
they have to actually pull into a port and
restore, recharge and everything.
Right.
But I wanted to point out this particular drone for the simple fact, when it's submerged, it's a submarine. When it's in the air, when it's on top of the surface like this right here, it's acting as a ship. But this is a ship that rewrites itself no matter what. They were showing how they were talking in the story about how this thing can get hit by a 20-foot wave and rewrite itself. So
it's got what's known as autonomous buoyancy.
Yes.
Okay, autonomous buoyancy, and that's where it can fill and exhaust its own ballast tanks based upon certain parameters. It's got accelerometers, it's got GPS, it's got inertia sensors. Okay, so it's got all of that built into it, and all of that working together. These are all fly-by-wire devices now. These are all computerized, completely automated. Still, the weapons features on these devices still have to be operated by with human intervention.
Right, but they did say that the particular missile system on this particular drone / submersible / ship can hit any place in the world from where it's at.
It's Aegis missile systems there,
Yeah, so that makes it interesting. Not only can it be controlling the coast of a country, but let's just say they need to launch a missile to another target area. They can do it within reason, and the fact that this missile system
it's also, you can put this, think about it. Why would the military have these devices? It's not to have a standoff battle. It's to get in a lot closer and put less individuals at risk. And that's all these things are. These are extensions of the fleet. Send them in first, send them in fast.
Exactly.
Okay, subject them to greater harm than you would subject your manned forces to.
Right, because I was going to tell you that, Lawrence, they were already doing that with manned ships. Because when, before, COVID and everything, I went to Fleet Week. And, when they give you the tour, they got a guy that gives the tour. And he was talking about the weapons on the ship and the big gun on the ship. He was saying he can hit with the radar targets all the way in Queens. And we were in Brooklyn. He was like, he can take out with radar. He said it's just so pinpoint accurate.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as let's run and hide.
Yeah, that's nothing. So just a quick look back in history. Okay, drones. There's nothing new about drones in the military, and I'm not even talking about Predators, Reapers, Prowlers. Talking about a very, very famous plane.
Yeah, man on man.
One that was used with strategic might during Vietnam. The F-4 Phantom was one of the most highly used drones by the U.S. military. Now, let me explain that. The F-4 Phantom was a little bit of everything. It could carry out air missions. It could carry out air-to-ground missions. It could carry out Wild Weasel missions where it would go in and jam radar.
Right.
But it became dated. And then, remember, it was being used by both the Air Force and the Navy, the F-4 Phantom.
True.
But the Navy was looking for something newer. Okay? And you had things like the F-15 coming out. You had the F-14 Tomcat coming out. And the military had a shitload of F-4 Phantoms. So you know what they went ahead and did? They painted all the tails, all the vertical stabilizers orange, and they outfitted them as drones. They were remotely flown
so you could tell the
so
difference.
that military pilots could get real action against a very capable military aircraft.
And I actually remember building one of the F-4s. Back when we used to build models here in the States, you build one of 3 models: cars, planes, and tanks, or monsters.
Right.
And I remember specifically, I put the F4 together so fast. I was like, damn, that's all, you know?
Extremely capable aircraft.
Yes.
But, you know, it was, the military goes way back. I mean, remember during World War One, the military actually used balloons on a string, okay, to actually get more information. They used things like mirrors. It was incredible what was being used. Okay. But drones are just what we're seeing today has been in existence for a long time. Think about it. Bomb squads. Bomb squads have been using drones for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We know about bomb stuff has been going on.
Thank you, Bob Casey.
Long time.
We aim to please. He says, always good drone content convo.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lawrence Herman. Great live stream. We try to just inform people, because I have a saying, each one teach one. If each person here in the chat, you lurkers too, and on the panel taught one person something they didn't know, it would make that much more of a world of difference, no matter how minute it is.
Well,
Tom, yeah.
That's why we're into it, right?
Within,
I mean,
yes.
We're tech heads.
Yeah.
But Tom, you know, the bomb squad has always had the robots. That was always what they never wanted to put a man really in harm's way, because, you know, we've always made that joke on our job. We've always had that joke on our job, how the bomb squad has always had a guy manning a robot that can go in and check out an object and make sure that it's safe, and even get it to some place where they could defuse it or even detonate it,
right?
And not put man in harm's way. But when we build a building, we still got to send a guy in there to throw that switch, and if it don't work,
yeah. Now, here's something I don't know if you guys plan on going into. It's kind of like the last story for the evening, even though we're ending it at 6:30. But CES 2021.
So wait a second. Now that you mentioned CES 2021, Sean, did you get your media credentials?
Yes,
Sean. CES 2021, Sean.
It's supposed to be virtual this year.
Only virtual this year, and it's not. Remember, CES is not open to the public.
No, it's not.
Okay,
no.
Right. CES is an industry, but you know, look, let's realize something here. The impact of something like a CES being canceled. So, let me just give you a sobering number right now. The number of the amount of revenue lost in Las Vegas for CES. And just CES. Now we're just talking about the one conference, right? $463 million in lost revenue, just because CES is not going to be a live event this year. So think about all the bartenders and barmaids and restaurant staff and support staff and event staff and all that are going without. So, you know, when we talk about things, realize the impact of what we're talking about. CES this year is completely virtual. If you haven't already gotten your industry media credentials, the only way to get in right now is to the virtual is $499. But you have to be tied into the industry. So you have to have some kind of affiliation with the industry.
True. But a quick answer to him, Bob Casey. He says, do you guys have any New York meets, or do you just fly when you fly? A combination of both.
Yeah.
If you get into there are a couple of groups here in Far Rockaway that they fly.
Groups, cliques.
Yeah.
Little bit of everything.
Every day. I know a guy, if you ask where you're flying tomorrow, he'll say wherever you're flying. I know guys that are out flying now in the dark. They do fly here. There are groups, NYC 5 Borough Drone Meetup. It's still a decent group to meet people. You just
There's Jersey drones. There's
yes,
Suffolk County drones. There's Nassau County drones. There's
yes, there are
a
a lot of
bunch of
groups here
entities.
where people
Yeah.
fly, and I do personally know people that if I were to call up and say, "Yo, where you flying tomorrow?" they would say, "I don't know, but let's go somewhere." So if NYC 5 borough drone meetup, if you're not in that group, those guys group, we don't have a whole lot of meetups because of time and convenience and family life and stuff like that. But there are people and groups, FPV/camera drone pilots that fly, if not every day, every other day. And I'm talking
But there's
30-degree weather.
we cross all these various groups. So if you
Yes.
hear about something in one group, it's
Yes.
known in the other groups, and these
This is true.
these
That's
meetups
true.
become combo events. You know, so yeah. But you know, look, it's there are groups all over. You just got to
Yes.
hunt them down.
And going back to CES, like Tom was saying, is not for your average Joe. But if you want to see
No,
what's
but there's
going on in a
some
technological
important
world,
things going on.
they don't just cover drones. I have the topics list up here. They cover 5G and Internet of Things.
So
go ahead, Tom.
We got a lot of things.
Well, anything electronic.
electronic.
I mean,
Right.
anything electronic,
Advertising, entertainment,
soup to nuts, from your flat screen. Yeah.
product design, manufacturing.
So one thing I wanted to hit on from CES that I think is probably the biggest thing of interest to us here, especially the hobbyist and the camera drone flyers, is the spotlight session is going to be Mike Fazzulo, who's the president and chief operating officer of Sony Electronics North America.
This is the link.
Who is going to make a big announcement or several significant announcements.
I actually joined the Sony website because they
are going to
register, and they are going to be asking drone pilots as well as non-drone pilots for their input on certain things. And Sony has a website which I had up. It's called Apex, I think, or something to that effect, with their new drone that let me just search Sony drone. So Sony, because it's
so if you're looking to hit the site,
yes, Sony.
You know, Lawrence had posted ces.tech. Just be careful, because depending on what virus or malware software you have, the .tech is going to get blocked as a suspicious top level domain. So you would need to whitelist it. You need to whitelist it to allow it to go through. Malware bites definitely will knock it, but it is a legit site. Okay.
Yes. About Sony products, let me go back and use this link. This is their link. I actually registered with them. I have them on Facebook and or any other social media, because I want to hear when they release their drones, etc., what's going to be going on. So that's Sony. I actually registered. He left? Okay, thank you. I actually joined the Sony site because I want to receive emails on what's happening.
Yeah. As Sean posted up here, Sony drone release will be in the March time frame, so to speak. Yes, I agree, but there will be mention of it. I'm almost guaranteeing when Mike Fazzulo talks, because he's going to be talking about products that are specifically going to impact the U.S. marketplace.
Okay.
And with the recent announcement of the DJI being placed on Department of Commerce, U.S. Department of Commerce's entity list, that's why I have a strong feeling that there will be some mention made. At least in this
I could agree with you on that, Tom. Yeah. I could agree with you on that, due to the simple fact that it's hard not to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much going on, and if you notice, it's still early in the year, but you guys know Jose. What is it?
Which Jose? Who? Which Jose?
I'm trying. The pilot, the pilot.
Pilot Jose.
Pilot Jose. Yes, he contacted me yesterday because he did say Happy New Year most of all, but he did not know that he did not know that I was sick or whatever, but we were talking and he had asked me a question. He said he has a friend that has invested $500,000 in DJI products, and DJI California, Nevada, and Texas did not take his order. And he was worried that because of these blue rules, that blue list, that DJI wouldn't be selling anything. Now, I told him, as far as I know personally, I happen to know for a fact that DJI and a lot of other companies are holding off until the administration change.
Well,
The
that
guy is
there's no
starting a
doubt
drone.
there.
Well, the guy's starting a
please.
drone business, and he put in an order for $500,000 worth of DJI merchandise, and nowhere in the United States. Hey, Mike Roach, how are you? Nowhere in the United States, the main distributors, are they shipping out. And I told him, from what I personally believe and know, it has to do with an administration change, because it's not just DJI, but there are other companies that have halted their business.
Do you realize
transit.
they don't come off the entity list on January 21st? Just realize that it doesn't work that way. Okay. That's why things are done in the order they're done, because they're so difficult to undo.
Right. Well, he was concerned that his friend that took half of his life investment to invest in DJI products by
I wouldn't worry about.
Well, Bob Casey, yeah. Why doesn't a drone company in the States come up with a drone as good as DJI? Okay, it amazes me that there isn't decent competition in the U.S. because it's not cost effective for somebody in the U.S. to compete with DJI. That's why they're not doing it. You know, the amount of research, the amount of R&D and QA and infrastructure you got to put in place to compete.
Yeah.
Well,
you're competing with a giant, right? You're starting off competing as a giant.
Yes.
You're absolutely right, Tom. But it also goes back to what you've been saying for the longest time. The gentleman that started DJI was a college student, probably studying well, I don't want to say probably, studying here in America.
Mm-hmm.
And because he probably grew up all his life playing with RC, messing around with RC, this was something that is in and goes back to what
playing. I just want to be careful with that statement, Herman. Playing with RC, you know, growing up here in the U.S. RC is not okay because it's not specific to the U.S., especially when they're made in China.
Right, but this is what I'm saying to a lot of these students, a lot of countries. You see, and I always say this. I had this conversation with my father, and I had this conversation with Lawrence. We all are into RC, you understand? But as far as students developing these things in our school system, we never had that when I was in school.
Right.
You understand? And other people are seeing these things and elsewhere. You understand? So when you start talking about why doesn't a company here in the United States do this? Well, when everybody else has got their hands in the manufacturing of this thing, it stands to reason that somebody else might branch off and do this and not happen. Hey,
well, look, we talked about it earlier too. First of all, Frank Wang didn't go to college here in the U.S. It's okay. He went to college in Asia. He went to Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, and as part of a grant he got, which was basically 18,000 Hong Kong dollars. That would equate to about $2,400 US. He, this was one of his graduate projects. Okay. So why doesn't someone compete here in the U.S.? As we said earlier, it's much cheaper to offshore source this type of product.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And even if you build it here, or more likely, what's more likely to happen, aka Autel, assemble it here.
Yes.
You can take a mark and become a blue entity. Okay. To me, that doesn't solve the problem.
But see,
it does not solve the problem.
But that's where we've brought our
now. But let's be very clear. I don't want people to think am I a DJI fanboy? I'm a fanboy of the technology. I'm not necessarily a fanboy of DJI. Okay. One of the main reasons why they got put on the entity list was not the real privacy data, The privacy data issue, that was the Department of Defense, the U.S. Army. Okay, what the reason they got put on the entity list was civil rights violations. Okay,
right, yeah,
using it in a nefarious manner,
or
having it used in a nefarious manner. I have a little bit of trouble with that. Yes. We're talking about a country, a communist or a state-run country.
That's true, Corey.
Okay, so it's a lot different than it is here. There's no doubt about that. But using drones in a nefarious manner, guys, we do that all the time. Okay.
Do we?
The views and opinions heard tonight are not necessarily the views and opinions of everyone on the panel.
Military reasons.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
It could be seen by others as being nefarious, right? It can be seen by others. Now, it's all point of view.
Right.
But
just
my
passing
point
over
of view
someone's
is,
property could be seen that way. You're right. You're
yes,
flying over
but
someone's
also
property.
Remember, this was to document. Yeah, this was to surveil. This was. So I think the big news, the big things of stuff to happen in the future is going to be, more laws and more controls being put in place on how these things are used. Now, place a high, Sean has a good point. Place a high value price for the U.S. manufacturer who creates a mass market drone. See, they're floating a lot of money, but the money is not going to be in the consumer market. Okay.
Yeah.
Where the money is to be made by these U.S. is really in the military or government market.
Yeah.
We're talking about some very high price ticket items here.
Look at Parrot.
The mass market $1,500 drone. I don't know. Is there enough profit margin for a startup in this country, to really make a stake in that marketplace?
You see what Sean put? Each one put. Place a high value price for the U.S. manufacturer who creates a mass market drone large enough to make it worthwhile. Then watch the medium-sized tech companies.
So Sean,
innovate.
it's funny you mentioned that.
Come that way.
Prize money. Okay, competition. Yeah, that's already underway with Department of Defense. Department of Defense has competitions on a regular basis. They call them RFIs, or request for information. Okay, which is similar to a request for a proposal. What basically they want they want these companies to innovate and present solutions to problems. They want them to solution the problems.
Yes.
So the U.S. military does this, or Department of Defense does this on a regular basis. They put out these contracts, and they'll have numerous companies compete in subcontracts to get to the prime, to be selected as competent prime contractors. So but again, that's not going to trickle down as quickly as we want into the consumer marketplace.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
no, that's
the big question is, and the question that's being asked a lot is, will there be a back channel? Yeah.
Would you agree, Tom?
Well, El Smeghead.
What happened?
Go ahead, Herman.
No, what I was saying, as far as what you're saying, as far as the consumer drone in this country, and what I was saying before, and as far as DJI, is that we have put ourselves in the position in this country to have to build from where we are, and to look at what we're talking about, and like I said, it all goes back to what we've mentioned before about the education and development. These things have to come from the ground up, and if they don't, then you're never going to see that. Everybody is shooting for that government contract, and that's what, and honestly, and that's what you should be.
There you go, Ray.
It's not so much about the consumer product. I understand totally. No one cares about the next drone that the guy down the street's going to fly up and down the street and probably bother somebody at the on the block. But it's about getting those government contracts, and that's what you're going to find out.
Right.
Companies here in the United States looking for anything consumer-wise is only going to be a trickle-down effect.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Sean that Skydio doesn't care about the consumer market. But you know what? the thing is that the U.S. consumer market is the largest in the world right now when it comes to drones. And they're talking about,
drones
sales
and
quadrupling
peripherals
from 2018 through 2024. And right now the U.S. is basically home to over 50% of global drone investments. So, they're making investments in offshore prospects. And some of that money needs to be redirected to North American capabilities.
I agree.
But, look,
1000%.
you don't have to go to North America. And that's why I think Sony coming out with a product, remember, can leverage the Asian manufacturing hubs to produce the product.
It's true,
and
Ray
still
Kelly.
not have to comply with the Chinese government. So, you're talking about product being built in Thailand, product being built in Taiwan, product being built in the Philippines that could compete with the Chinese marketplace.
Right.
If there was a big enough backer behind it. Now, yeah, Ray Kelly, government contracts are very lucrative. Yes. But that's not going to trickle down. That technology that's used in that market isn't going to trickle down.
It rarely does.
It always trickles down, but it takes a decade to do so.
Exactly.
Okay? So you don't have somebody primed up to really give, except maybe for Sony. So we'll have to wait and see. But you really don't have somebody primed up right now to go to toe-to-toe with DJI. It's not there. And if you put the next 20 competitors of DJI's up together again with each other, they still don't match the might and force.
It's true,
force that DJI
especially when you
table.
control 80% of the drone market already.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard. And now, because DJI, and correct me if I'm wrong, because DJI is not in the United States, there are certain limits. There aren't certain limits, I should reword it, that restrict them from doing what they do. In other words, I mean, if Herman,
your factory work is but it's like anybody else. How many handbags are prized and in the possession of our women folk, that weren't built in sweatshops.
Oh,
okay.
Forget about it.
So it becomes a convenient thing to be very moral.
Thank
about
you,
this
Roger.
stuff, okay, but let's realize we're not talking about just the drone industry.
No,
we're talking about every damn industry you touch. Tell me there's not a touch point offshore, and tell me that a significant portion of those touch points aren't on the Chinese mainland.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Even the pharmaceuticals you have to take, Lawrence, and I have to take to stay alive. Okay. The formularies behind those prescriptions are coming out of mainland China.
Yeah.
So, at any point in time, China could turn around and
Happy
go,
New Year. Happy New Year, Drone Inspector.
What happens to us? Xavier, why? Happy New Year, Xavier. All the best to the family.
But Tom,
it does help, Sean, that Japan is an economic and military ally. And that's who we have to count on. When we talk about globalization, when you start putting money into the pockets of your supposed enemies,
right?
How are you serving your people? So, yes, build those economic alliances that can support you long term.
First, right? And
first,
see, this
and
is
foremost,
this is the problem, Tom. This is the problem with businesses and companies in the United States. They want to grow overnight. A company like DJI didn't just pop up overnight. They'd invested in other parts of the world. You know what I'm starting to say. Right now, the United States, and it's sad to say as an American, and I love the fuck out of my country, okay? But it's sad to say there are too many greedy middlemen here. I only pray and wish that Sony comes out with a badass drone. I pray and wish that some company here in the United States says, hey, we cannot start on a consumer level, but we can start on a prosumer level. And eventually, like Tom said, that would trickle down to the consumer.
There are companies that missed the boat here.
Well,
there are companies that clearly missed the boat. Okay.
Yes.
And I think, I don't know. Can you read the shirt?
Guys,
Okay.
I have to run outside real quick to get dinner.
Well, Tom, that like what
Nikon, Canon.
This is what I was saying before.
Fuji.
No, there's a few companies, yeah, but what I'm saying is that we here in America, years ago, we took the attitude that we were going to allow manufacturing to travel overseas. Now, not to get political, but we did this to ourselves a long time ago in this country, and we became the consumers of the world. And we manufacture nothing. You understand?
Also,
so now,
well, okay. So a couple of things there. Entrepreneurship, right? And Sean, you're right. Yeah, these have fanatical CEOs. Agree, right? But that's entrepreneurship. Okay, that's believing in what you have. Now, I have a friend who actually is going to retire off of my job in a couple of months. He did 20. But he's an entrepreneur at heart, and he's like a challenged stepson to me. Just trying to keep him on the job so he's got his benefits and all. His whole thing was getting his product made. Product made, right? And he fought and struggled real hard to get this product developed. Even a spot with Shark Tank and all, and he went from a profit margin if he would have built it offshore.
I'll be right back.
Of about 63% down to a profit margin of about 27% by having it built in this country. Okay. So that's a significant loss in revenue potential. And it's sometimes hard to justify when you have investors. So, that's the situation you wind up running into. And that's why these companies do go to a cheaper alternative. I mean, just to have your dies made, your tools made, all that stuff to try to get them made. It's tough. It's tough.
I totally understand that, but how do you come back from that? That's where a drone is the smallest thing in the world.
Well, there are specific industries that government does need to support, right? We know government needs to support our farming communities. Because without it, we're at risk of going hungry, right? Okay.
Well, they do it
and
anyway,
the government has to back up. Yes, and we'll talk about
that's another show.
Being food at risk, but that's a whole different situation. That's government not taking the extra step. But we're talking about the government supports the farming community to make sure. To the point that they even pay them not to grow certain crops, which still defies logic. But
that's
what about these other industries, these other essential industries that now you're finding they're very, very essential? I mean, where PPE, personal protective equipment's being made, where even things like the electronics to support ventilators in the healthcare community, where's that stuff being made? If you can't onshore and support some scale of that within the country, you put yourself completely at risk to others.
Right.
So how do they deal with it? The U.S. government has to invest. Okay.
And therein lies the problem, unfortunately.
Well, also, just a story in the news
Tom, every other country in the world outside of the United States, even some smaller third world countries, have a STEM program, and we can't get a STEM program started in these schools here in the States. What's wrong with that picture?
Well, realize that's because we spend more money. Okay, get ready for your disclaimer, by the way. We spend more money on paying for all of their STEM education programs instead of spending that money on U.S. Students. Our spending rate on U.S. students is atrocious. And you know what? The value we get back on what we even spend
for super
is terrible.
Chat. Drone X Factor. Will U.S. retail get blocked for
we don't know, right?
DJI products? I don't
Xavier,
think
we
so.
don't know, and that's the big question on the consumer side. Will the big box stores carry the product? Okay, so now that definitely limits exposure of the product to others, okay, to the consumer market. You know, the Best Buy, you know, if Best Buy does not, from a corporate standpoint, carry the product, okay,
Yeah.
that's a supply channel that no longer exists to DJI, and that I feel is a significant hit to them. Now, will there be back channels to purchase the product? I don't doubt there will be. Okay, they're better.
Can't compete
Man, that
can't
DJI
compete with a company like
soon.
with a company like DJI that pays its workforce cents on the dollar.
Yes. That's the problem that faces U.S. manufacturing.
Yes.
That's why it's
number
so
one
damn
problem
cheap.
with everything that's built here.
Minimum wage law passed. Okay, so we have to pay our workers X. They don't. That's why you can't compete, unfortunately, unless you provide some government support to those essential industries that need to compete for our well-being. Okay.
Right.
But then it seems like, oh, you know, well, now these companies are on the public dole. Damn, you know, I don't understand. We got enough money to pull the banking industry out of harm's way. We got enough money to pull the automotive industry out of that way, but we can't find enough money to keep U.S. citizens safe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is what kills me, because right now it's cheaper to start a STEM program than it was to run a metal shop or a wood shop back when we were children. It is, because you have companies, hold on, listen to what I'm saying. You have companies like DJI that came out with the little Tello. That's an open source drone where children can learn how to program these drones and fly them for literally pennies on a dollar.
RoboMaster.
Yeah, for pennies on a dollar. But no one wants to make that investment. And yet they say, how come our children are the way they are? How come our companies and businesses are the way they are? The information and the technology is there, but no one like Elon Musk wants to invest. No one like Amazon. No one like any of these other companies here, Walmart, want to invest in teaching our children how to do this shit. You have most children that come from other countries that pretty much know positive, negative, and ground. How many average American kids know positive, negative, ground? If you understand
ground's what I'm standing on, right?
Yeah.
There's more money to be made off.
Good.
Of
I at least got one of those down, right?
Yeah.
Lawrence.
And in the U.S., that qualifies for passing grade, by the way.
What's that, Herman?
There's more money being made off of the failure of your children.
Yeah, that's sad but true.
Yeah, unfortunately so.
It's very sad but true.
Look, realize this is part of our culture also. You know, we're in a society, it's instant gratification. You want something, you go up on Amazon, you buy it. I don't want to pay that much for it. So I can search and find 300 of the same product. What am I looking for? I'm not sorting my list on highest priced first. I'm going for lowest price first.
Hey,
guess
Night
what I
Train,
just
what's
did?
good, man?
I knocked any American company off the first 10 pages of results that I get back. Right? Okay.
You see what Mike Rose put? The American kids can't even pound a hammer, and that's sad. It's sad because, and you're 100% true, because my nephew is 30-something years old. At the age of 17, I taught him how to throw a football. Well, you want to know when I knew how to throw a fucking football? As soon as I could hold one.
Yeah, but we went outdoors and we played, okay? So that was a different time. You know, we're still, as adults, we still go out and play because we can't fly our drones indoors. Or when we do, we're not always as successful. But you know where the problem is? The problem really stems.
Our kids are the prison pipeline kids.
Yeah. And because we don't invest in figuring out what interests them. Okay. So as a grandparent, one thing, and yeah, I know I look much younger. I got that. I'm sorry. Burst the bubble. As a grandparent, one thing I did was I sent my grandkids, and I continue to send my grandkids these little kits. It's called a company called Kiwi.
Welcome
KIWI.
So
Kiwi Co.
You mentioned this before.
I'm familiar
these
with
kits,
them.
yeah. These kits are just activity kits, and whether it's art, whether it's engineering, whether it's electronics, I send these kits to them based on their age group, and what I actually do is I usually send them kits that are one level above their age group because they seem to have more interest in that.
That's exactly
right?
what you're supposed to do.
And it's a little more challenging.
Right.
And then, I hear that, this one really likes these kinds of things, and then I kind of craft the next series of kits based upon what might be of their interest, and I do the post check to find out. Of course, my 14-year-old granddaughter asked this year, could she maybe opt out of the Kiwi kits and go for these Glam Girl kits instead?
But
hey, that's life,
listen,
right?
That's
life.
normal.
Right, but
There's
That's
nothing
life.
wrong with that.
Well,
The fact,
But you know what? One of my nieces makes god awfully great money as a makeup artist for NBC. So she went to cosmetology school.
Okay.
So God bless her. The thing is, again, finding their interest. But in order to find their interest, you have to expose them to stuff.
Exactly.
Okay? So that kind of brings us around to remote ID and some of the things that were released and the information that we got from the FAA as a holiday gift was that they did seem to listen to a lot of the feedback that was given about the impact to the educational sector. Okay.
yes.
So there are certain things that are actually mentioned outright about, primary, secondary, and specialized education. So that's a good thing. Of course, I like the idea. Xavier, you just paid $150 for your recurrent test.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Have you gotten the announcement on how they're rebating you back that money? Because now, if you need to stay current, the recurrency test is going to be online. So that's
It'll take
good
a little
news.
while for them to roll that out.
Yeah, but not as long as you think it will. Okay, because remember, we're talking about a 60-day rule here. Once they publish, so that will happen. Figure that they'll publish in the Federal Register before the end of this month, and then 60 days post that, the rule becomes effective. So I'm hoping the recurrency exam winds up there within a suitable period. I'd say 90 days post. Within that period, it should be up there. But also being able to fly at night as a 107. Okay. Xavier, you took the online exam. Was that what they hit you for the online exam? You said he paid $69. Because the online exam that exists right now is just a temporary exam that gives you like a 6-month window. But the nice thing is the new training will include the information that will allow you to fly at night. So that's a good thing. Now, flight over people, remember, Herman, we mentioned flight over people. While it did seem pretty cool that Carry One drone 55 pounds, aka 250 grams, can fly over people, except it said cannot contain any rotating devices that will lacerate human skin, aka propellers. So guess what? Even when you put the lighter weight prop guards of the Mini 2 on, you are no longer compliant with Category 1.
The same
exactly.
So original Mini, the same.
Welcome to, you still going to have to file a mock and a doc, or method of compliance and document of compliance, in order to fly as a Category 2 aircraft over people.
Same thing, like I said before, it's the same thing. If you don't like this, they hate this, they'll love the one I'm going to really want them to.
Now, I wonder how much plastic exists on the Mini 2 and on the prop guards, and how much of that you could possibly sand off and still, so break out your electronic scales, buddy.
Right.
Okay.
What are those the devices you measure the thickness of something?
Micrometers.
Break out your micrometers and check out the thickness of your.
Get yourself a good buffing wheel. You'll be there. Get yourself a good buffing wheel. You'll be there for a while.
Make sure all of the prop guards are balanced.
That's true.
That's the bigger problem you're going to have.
Once you start sanding something, all of that balance goes off.
Yeah. You can imagine the amount of vibration you would get there, huh?
Or the guy that's going to sit down and make prop guards out of a material
dude,
lighter than
remember what group of people we're talking about. Okay,
That's true, Corey.
Look inside.
Hold on
Look
a second,
inside,
Tom.
Herman.
Hold on a second, Tom. My friend Corey mentioned something, and I remember going through something very similar. He was saying to Tim Jackson, I had to get a charity to give me a scholarship to get my A+ in 2007. And I remember, and that's sad. That's really sad because I remember that time frame because I had to also do the same thing.
Yeah.
Just to get an A+ or an A++ certification, you had to get
went to aviation high school.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Styrofoam prop guards.
We're not use once, throw away, or use once, disintegrate in air. But remember, styrofoam is you're not being environmentally conscious. Okay.
Unfortunately true, which is why I don't know how the hell Anafi got the contract with the government with the styrofoam birds, but they did. I'm not mad, I'm not hating, but we also know our military. I scheduled it online. Drone X Factor says took it at a testing center. Yeah, that's basically what you have to do. But the issue is now that they'll be doing everything online.
Yeah. Well, not your first, because remember,
right. The first
that first exam they have to establish your identity. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to go through a background investigation with the TSA.
Smeghead, thanks for the support, man.
So the follow-up or the recurrent exams will be online. And that's a good thing. That's the way it should be, because you can update that training a lot easier, meaning that as you release new information or information that's more specific to the drone pilot, you can get it into the exams right away instead of waiting for the next iteration. Well, we got to wait for a 2-year mark before they'll learn this information. No, actually, those that are currently current and want to be able to fly at night, the FAA is going to have to release some training information online.
Well,
that can certify flying with these standards and then be able to fly at night as well.
I'm interested to see,
of course, using the parameters that you have to meet all the requirements.
Well, Tom, I'm really interested to see.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal, because when I had to, in order to get the 107.29 waiver, which is to fly at night, okay, I had to have a certified flight instructor give me X number of hours of training in order to put on the waiver request to get that okayed, to get that approved. So that's how it used to work, but now it won't require that. Okay. Yeah. So basically we pay $150 a year here in the US to certify every 2 years. Yeah. So now that $150 will only be year one, or the first time you certify, which is for a 2-year period. Remember, it's not 2 years when you get your card, folks. It's 2 years when you took the exam. Okay.
From your test date.
Well, from the test date you have to the end of that month. Okay. So if you take your test on January 3rd,
no more recurrence test, only test for night. Yeah. Permission. We had mentioned that.
Yeah. Right. Your recurrency will be online, and the night flight training will be online. If once it's made available. Okay. And then it will be given at no additional cost to certified Part 107s who took the initial. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Listen, guys, we need to wind down at 6:28. We are ending at 6:30 only because I'm still not back at 100%, and it's a decent time to give everyone on the panel as well as others a chance to check out some live streams and stuff like that. But I want to say one thing, most of all, if you expect an American company to start selling drones, you have to expect an American company to invest in its people. As plain and simple. Well, there's no other way to fucking say it.
1950s in the United States anymore.
You know, I can't say it any other way. I'm not going to. Thanks, Logan. You can't say it any other way. But I want to say we appreciate
and parents have to
invest in their children.
Have to advocate and find out,
invest in
take the
your
time to find out
children, grandchildren, cousins,
what
nephews.
interests do your kids have? What's really getting them going? And expose them to as much as you can, because they need to be able to earn in the future that lays in front of us. So, take the time, invest in them. They're the ones that are going to be wiping the dribble from our chins. Okay.
True, you're right. We appreciate you all for coming to the live stream. Sunday Nights with Those Guys is sponsored by Those Guys. And this was the first stream of the year. Hopefully they get better and keep you guys coming back, because without you, we would not be. You supporters, non-supporters, lurkers, I don't even care. The fact that our numbers show what they show and you guys continue to come back is always encouraging, so keep coming back. I don't know what else to say. Happy New Year's to everyone. You guys want to say something before we break out? Feel free.
Yeah, I guess we'll see you all Wednesday, and we'll see what's going on new for the new year.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody stay safe, stay healthy. Okay. And remember about those around you.
Yes, this is
the only
true.
way we get through this, right?
Yes, this is true. This is very true. Thanks, guys.
And thanks for spending some time with us tonight.
This is very, very true. All right.